Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We got some breaking news as another quarterback battle finishes up after fall camp. As the Washington Huskies and Kalen DeBoer named Michael Penix Jr. quarterback one heading into 2022. This one was an interesting one. We've been following it most of the offseason. Before we get into it, again, just wanted to say thank you guys for all the support you guys have shown the channel, especially the Husky fans. You got some real fans up in Washington. You guys checked out our spring game preview. You checked out our summer preview. You guys have been absolutely awesome supporting the channel. We appreciate it. Dill, I'm going to kick it off to you. What are your initial reactions here, Michael Penix Jr.?
I gotta say, I'm a little surprised. I thought coming from away from that spring game, I felt like he would look like the better pocket passer, and just knowing what Kalen DeBoer did at Fresno kind of made me think he'd want to basically spread it out every play and throw it 30 to 50 times a game. That's kind of what I would have thought.
I agree. Now, I wouldn't use the word surprised. You asked me a couple weeks ago if I'm a Huskies fan, what quarterback I want to see as QB1. It's probably Sam Heward, just because of how talented he is. And you're up there in Washington. You don't get five-star quarterbacks walking in the doors every so often. And you kind of want to take advantage of it. And this is his second year now. And now it'll be his third year till he even potentially plays a snap for Washington. We might even see him in the portal. You hate to see the kind of that talent, not necessarily wasted, but delayed. Now, I wouldn't use the word surprise because Michael Penix Jr., his best year of college football came with Kalen DeBoer as his offensive coordinator at Indiana. When you've seen Michael Penix, who is a very talented player who just looked horrible at Indiana his last year, I mean, when he's comfortable, he can cook.
That's the one thing is like, you got to kind of block out what 2021 was because Penix did look really bad, and Indiana as a team took a big step back for sure. Everyone knows like they kind of had a golden year, and in the COVID year, just things seemed to work out. They didn't get hit with COVID. Yeah. They didn't have guys sitting out, nothing like that. But at the end of the day, 2021 was a really rough year. But if you can look back to what he did with DeBoer, you're right. That was an explosive offense, and he looked like a much better passer than like maybe he did as a 2021 player.
I'm interested to see how much we see Michael Penix use his legs, because when you do look back at the stats, his most productive games on his feet, extending plays, were in 2019 with Kalen DeBoer as the OC. Now, Michael Penix isn't necessarily – he's a dual threat guy who can extend plays with his legs, but he does look to throw first. He's not necessarily a running quarterback. What I'm most excited for, and we talk about this a lot, is offensive coaches can have a way more of an impact than, in my opinion, defensive coaches. So you have Oregon getting a defensive coach in Dan Lanning, who coached the best defense we've seen in a very long time at Georgia last year. That being said, it's really easy to coach a defense when the talent is just loaded with five stars. If your Jimmies are better than the Joes across from you, you're going to have a good defense. Offense, I think coaches bring more value because that has to do with a lot more scheme, and we haven't seen many coaches scheme up better offense than Kalen DeBoer. He has his quarterback that he feels comfortable with. And quite frankly, I'm just happy it's not Dylan Morris. I don't think I could watch another year of Washington Huskies football with Dylan Morris as quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, the quarterback play at Washington was really bad last year for sure. And the thing is I think the strength of this team is going to be in the air. I think they have three very good receivers led by McMillan and Polk, who I think have real potential to be NFL players. So that's kind of what my initial thought was, go with Heward, because I think he is a more complete passer, and you want to see your wideouts play really well, because I think that's probably the strength of the offense. I don't think the offensive line is going to be a road grading dominant unit like that's going to run the ball 30 times. I think you do want to rely on big plays with your wideouts.
No love for Giles Jackson in that wide receiver room?
I don't think Michigan fans. That's tough. I mean, I felt like we wanted to see him back, and yeah, it does hurt you a little bit that he left, but
you're just better. So you're a little better.
Yeah, but like I'm a fan. I'm like you. You're wearing the shirt, but you're not like practicing the.
Giles Jackson is a guy that if you're a Huskies fan, you want to see him just get the ball in his hands. I wouldn't say he's the most polished, and we never saw this at Michigan. He certainly didn't see it last year. Not that he had a very good opportunity to do it last year. he's a guy that if you get him the ball, I mean, he's one of the best kick returners in the game. He's very, very good in space. Just doesn't create for how athletic and shifty he is. The route running isn't quite there. The hands are certainly not there. He's a guy that can take steps, and with the right coaching staff, with the right scheme, I can see him being successful. He's kind of this Washington Huskies offense as a whole would be one of my on a list for most improved units because it was under Coach Lake. It was so bland. I mean, you watched them play against Michigan last year. There was one point it was 4th and 4 from like the 50, and they just ran like a straight up
I formation power run.
Well, like from 4 yards out. It was nothing creative, no play action, no nothing. I mean, they were as bland as you could be, and partially maybe was because we really don't believe in our quarterback Dylan Morris. Then they like really never went to Sam Heward. They went to him a couple times and he struggled, but it's like that's another thing that kind of when I'm thinking about is Sam Heward ready to rock and roll in a similar light that we talked about Ty Thompson at Oregon. It was so bad for Washington last year, and they never really gave it over to Sam Heward. He must have been not ready, like clearly not ready, because what do you have to lose from pulling Dylan Morris out of an offense that just couldn't move the football an inch?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. They were really bad. And yeah, you got to think if they've had much confidence in Heward, he would have been out there pretty early, frankly, because it was really bad, really quick for Washington. So I don't know, maybe reuniting Penix with Kalen DeBoer is going to really bring him back to prominence. That guy we kind of thought he was going to be in 21. And he obviously maybe took a step back, but if he regains what he had with DeBoer, like this could be a really good offense. And yeah, DeBoer knows how to coach, that's for sure.
I mean, it's a team, it's a player in Michael Penix Jr. who, when you see him comfortable and playing his game, he is a very good quarterback. He was very good at Indiana when he was comfortable and playing within the system. When the trains got off the track a little bit, I mean, he was brutal at times last year. And this is a Washington team that the defense is always going to be good. I mean, there's death taxes in Washington fielding a very solid defense. You get guys that you really feel bad. I mean, they have ZTF not slated as a starter, which seemingly just absurd. You have one of the best defensive linemen, Cam Bright. Not that this is like a full Washington team preview. I love me some Cam Bright, and I know you lose guys like McDuffie and Kyler Gordon in the back end. Defense is going to be good. I think if you see this Washington Huskies team make some strides and become a top 25 team, it's got to be on the offensive side of the football. The good offensive line with talented wide receivers and Michael Penix Jr., who is comfortable in the scheme, we could see that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, DeBoer was going to have an infinitely better offense if he coached the same team last year. He's just a really good offensive mind. So I'm having
top 25 team.
I don't think so. Do you?
I don't think so either, but I will preface that. Give me 2 games. Let me watch Kent State, Portland State, and then when they play Michigan State week 3, I'll have a tape.
They pound out Michigan State, yeah, top 25.
This team that if the offense, and I'm not saying the offense is going to like go and be a top 25 offense in the country. It's got to be like a top 50, and this team will be significantly better than we saw last year. Now, if this offense with Kalen DeBoer and Michael Penix, 2 completely new faces coming in and playing the 2 most important roles on the team, your offensive play caller and your quarterback, if they both hit, I mean, this team couldn't. It's not wild to think this team isn't a top 25 team. It's just you need Michael Penix Jr. to hit year 1 after a really bad year, and you need Kalen DeBoer to hit. I think it can happen. I wouldn't bet on it, but I do think this team is it's a team to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited for Washington this year. I just think it was such a down, honestly, couple seasons with Lake, and I think everyone's kind of excited when you get those new coaches in, especially a guy like DeBoer who probably going to put some points up. I think everyone should be excited for that.
Yeah, this offense and this team in general is gonna look so different this year than it was last year. And maybe that's some sign for pessimism where it's like you're going from a completely different culture. And Washington tried to win games by playing field position, punting the ball, getting stops, and trying to score when they could. And now it's going to be you're going to see a lot of going for it on 4th down. You're going to see a lot more drives than you saw last year. And we're going to see how well it works for the Huskies. I think Washington fans have to be excited because it was just, again, I couldn't imagine being a Huskies fan last year and how frustrating watching that offense would have felt. But you got to be excited for Michael Penix Jr., Kalen DeBoer taking the helm. Guys, Keeping it short for you guys. Just wanted to give our thoughts on Michael Penix Jr. being named quarterback 1 in Washington. Appreciate you guys checking us out again. You like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section on what you guys think, and we'll talk to y'all later.